all right, people, this is Harris Sultan. There are some people on the right, they hate Israel so much that they would side with America's enemies. For example, people like Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson. So I just saw a clip of Tommy Robinson absolutely ripping into Tucker Carlson, also known as Tucker Carlson. Have a look.
And Tucker Carlson come into my country is such a fucking insult. I was raging. He made a video, all these crimes happening against our people, and he come in, well, there's no problem in London. There's no problem in London. My Pakistani taxi driver was all right. Yeah. Oh, that's it then. Oh, there's no problem, Tucker. Islam's great. Let's ignore the terrorism. Let's ignore every jihad attack. Let's just pretend it's not happening because you had a nice Pakistani taxi driver.
This is so stupid that the same taxi driver could have been a groomer. I'm not saying he was, but I'm saying he could be. Imagine forming a worldview by talking to some person for 10 minutes. Perfect guy, amazing. Nothing's wrong. Everything's great. These people are amazing. How stupid you have to be. He's not that stupid. He may have a very stupid laugh, but he's not that stupid. He has an agenda. That's why he's a Carlson, because he has switched sides, because he hates Israel. Therefore, he has to like the other side, the opposite side, which are the Muslims. Okay, so now he's going to say, oh, Muslims are perfect. There's nothing wrong with them. Like, how evil do you have to be in pursuit of your animosity, in pursuit of fulfilling whatever delusion you have?
How dare you come into our country? How dare you use your platform to diminish the rape of our country? How dare you? When I go around the country meeting the victims, the families, all of them, and just because you have decided to take side with Qatar or side with Iran or side with whoever you've sided with, you think you can diminish what's happening in our nation when you know nothing about it. I'm still raging about it, thinking about it now. I think you come into our country and you sit there and you use a platform in our country to diminish and belittle a generation of our daughters. And again, just so an American audience can understand the scale of this problem, because this is why I'm insulted and I'm offended by when he done this. Say in Telford, I spent 18 months in Telford. I've done a 5-part series called The Rape of Britain. You can watch these documentaries at trfilms.co.uk. And I chose Telford because Telford has a 1.7% Muslim population. There's none there. Yeah? So I went there. And the police investigation identified 1,000 victims and 200 perpetrators. Yeah, 5 children are dead. They've been burned alive and murdered in this town alone. So 1,000 victims. Now, when you take the numbers and you get rid of the under 16s and you get rid of the women, there's 1,000 Muslim men in that town. Now, look what they've done in one town. Now, when you go to...
That's 20%, guys. 20%. Now, I want to know, what is the definition of a good Muslim and a bad Muslim? The 20% of Muslims in the tiny town of Telford believe that it is okay to do these things to infidel girls, children. They didn't do that to any Muslim girl. They didn't do that. They did that purposefully to white infidel British girls. 20%. A tiny minority. That's not a tiny minority.
I have 1,000 Muslim men. I managed in my investigation, I sat down and I interviewed 12 to 18 survivors, yeah? And I interviewed them for 3 hours, 4 hours, 3 times, 4 times. And I built a database. And when the men were named by 3 or more girls that do not know each other, I go after them. And I go into their businesses, and I went into the businesses, some of them that murdered children, yeah? And I went into the business, and do you know, this isn't about sexual gratification. This is what you need to understand. In some of these cases, 11 cousins were raping kids together. Fathers and sons are raping kids together. Brothers and brother-in-laws. Imagine that.
Uncles and nephews. Imagine that for a culture. Imagine that. What kind of a depraved culture. I've never even had a locker room talk with my cousins. Well, there was one cousin who was my age, but there are some other cousins. I never talked to them about that. Not with my uncle. But how depraved is this particular community? I've been saying that. I'm not making excuses for the Pakistani community because I am Pakistani. I am telling you, the British Pakistani community is a subculture of the mainstream Pakistani community. The mainstream Pakistani community does not behave like this. It is a very honor-based culture. Fathers and sons, they don't talk about these things. Some people say that maybe they should have a little conversation on sexual education and whatnot, but we don't. We don't talk like that. We don't talk to our elder brother about these things. And it didn't just happen in Telford, okay? Across the board, up and down the country, wherever there are cases of grooming gangs, that happened on an industrial scale. And more often than not, the perpetrators were relatives of each other, brothers, cousins, fathers and sons, guys. Fathers and sons. This is a depraved, sick subculture of the worst of the Pakistanis. Okay? 50% of the British Pakistanis are the descendants of Mirpuris, which is a really backward part of Pakistan. Okay, the mainstream Pakistani community has always looked down on them, but now for some reason, because the word Pakistani is attached to it, that's why every Pakistani somehow defends them, because they see that as an attack on themselves. This is why I'm making that distinction, because the mainstream Pakistani community should come out and say, hey, you know what? This is atrocious. This is horrible. We've got nothing to do with that. But what we see is the wider Pakistani community makes excuses for them. They try to undermine it. And then on top of that, you have Tucker Carlson making excuses for these people. Absolutely pathetic.
You're with your sister, her husband, and you go in and get a little kid and rape it. Well, we've never seen these crimes in the West. It's unthinkable. Not in their community. It's mainstream, and they're all accepting it. So when you see the scale of these problems, some girls had their tongues nailed to a table. Another girl was 11 years old. She had a hot iron rod with a letter M, and it was scalded onto her bum because she was the property of Mohammed. But don't worry, Tucker had a nice Pakistani taxi driver.
Just to give you a little bit of an idea, how depraved are these people? Have a look at this. The leader of the Rotherham grooming gang, Banaras Hussain, has been released. He 15 11-year-old girls for 10 years. 15 girls, not just one, two. This was an organized movement. They were hunting these white girls. They were plying them with alcohol and drugs, and then they were sharing them around. He ripped out the nails of girls who tried to escape. The court found a total of 55 crimes. Look at him. While their women are doing this, this is Shukri Yusuf, a migrant from Somalia. She fraudulently claimed £102,000 in benefits. Why do we give them benefits? Why? They're here for benefits. They hate everything Western. They're not loyal to Britain. They're not loyal to America. And we're paying for the privilege of them being here. She spent that money on private school fees and a luxury car. She walked free from court with a suspended sentence. Suspended sentence for these criminals. While people like Lucy Connolly, who speak up, go to jail for months, years even. Can you believe this? Can you believe what is happening? That's the kind of people that we have in the UK. And Tucker Carlson got a nice taxi driver and a nice little donation from the Qataris. This is pathetic, guys. Absolutely pathetic. The woke right has Israel derangement syndrome, and the mainstream left has Trump derangement syndrome. And these mentally disturbed people are destroying our society. I hope you don't fall for it.